Hello, everyone. It is Monday at 7 p.m. So you know what time this is, right? Mondays at 7 with Samara. Ask Samara anything. And you guys have definitely been bringing and understood the assignment. You guys are asking me literally anything. I love it because Samara keeps it real estate. All things for you guys. It's a source that you guys can go to, ask questions. I've been in this industry for 20 plus years. I absolutely love what I do. I love getting the questions. I love the first time home buyers. I love my sellers. I love my investors. Even my new commercial space, which has been tons of fun, right? Anything in New Jersey, 5 units or more is considered commercial. So it's actually getting really, really exciting out there. So questions around that and lots of fun stuff. So I appreciate you guys locking in. I appreciate you guys checking this out and for all the feedback and submitting your questions, because this is the fun part of what I get to do. And thank you guys for watching the content in general, because I know we've done some local loves that you guys have been commenting on, bouncing back and forth between my Q&A questions and answering some of those things for you guys. So it's been a lot of fun. And this past Friday, we just did a collection of love series for you guys. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. We did 12. That was our 12th episode, which is insane. I didn't know I did that many interviews, but I love meeting the people and hearing their backstory and how they're giving back to the community. And it's just a lot of fun. Those are some great organizations. So guys, definitely check them out. Let me get right into this fun stuff of the questions. And you guys know the format. Anything you guys are thinking, we try to cover a buyer's topic, a seller's topic, general real estate whenever it applies. Investors, we try to lock in on. Commercial is a new piece we actually added. And sometimes I get some questions from people who are thinking about becoming agents. So we might have to do a separate segment for that, because there's been a couple questions that I've just kind of been answering off kilter, because many of you guys know I'm a broker. And we have our own group here in Jackson. And I help foster some of those guys that are in the office too. So lots of fun. Real estate never sleeps, ever, ever. All different facets. Sounds crazy, right? There's buyers, there's sellers, there's all the things. So first up, we're going to jump right into it. The question that I have, which is actually a tough question. So I know sometimes people avoid this topic like the plague. I know a lot of us avoid having to set up things in the event of a worst case scenario. But someone asked me the question, what happens to a mortgage when someone dies? Now, that's a really good question, because death doesn't cancel debt, guys. The debt still exists. There's a couple different options should that happen. The mortgage still needs to be paid, right? Someone needs to pay it, unless they had a specific kind of, life insurance policy that paid off the mortgage in the event of a death, but not people always have that lined up. So in many cases, you have a couple different options, right? I've had people come to me, we can talk about it, we can definitely go through it, but high level, a relative can actually assume the mortgage should they be in a position to get qualified for it. That's an option. If someone's got strong enough capacity. A note to settle the debt could be an option. If someone has the ability to pay it off in full, or if the death benefit allows you to pay it off in full, that's an option as well. So if there's no will or trust, it can be a little tricky to get through probate. Probate's a whole separate animal, a whole separate can of worms to have a conversation about. I think I had a segment where I talked about probates, because there are quite a few steps that you need to take should you be needing to get the process started and figure out who your right contacts are for that. Because depending on how many kids there are, if there's a spouse involved, people can contest and it can be tied up in court for a really, really long time. So the part that people don't like to talk about is the planning part. So it is wise to go work on your wills, your estates, your trust, your who to leave things in front of, who's going to be your administrator for your death benefits should something happen to you. I hate talking about it, which is probably I drag my feet to doing it forever. I think it took us forever to get a life insurance policy, but when we had the kids, it became a reality. So those are things definitely to keep in mind. But that was a really good question, because when that happens, somebody does pass away, there is an asset that needs to be addressed. And sometimes there's equity in it, and sometimes it's a liability. So being able to understand how that works, having someone you can go to ask questions, I know a girl, it can help ease the path for you guys. So thank you for the question, because I feel like most people don't know that answer, and they get stuff handed to them sometimes, and it's messy. It can be very messy if you don't have the right strategy in place to kind of help you navigate that crazy sticky part. So if you're inheriting a home, or you know somebody who's inheriting a home, give me a call. I've helped dozens of families navigate this probate situation, as well as, you know, inherited homes. So you're not alone. Never alone. You guys are hearing me say that all the time. You're never alone. All right. Hopefully that answers your question. I like it. Thumbs up. So those always work for me. Next up, the question that I got, probably pertaining more so to my buyers who are looking at trying to get financed. And I like that some of you guys are thinking out of the box, because not long ago I covered a segment that it's not required to do 20% down, and that you shouldn't be afraid to explore whether or not you can afford to get a house depending on your background, what kind of job you have. You should start asking questions and see if it's something that can be for you. So this person, I guess, has been watching and listening, and they submitted a question and asked if their side hustle is affecting their mortgage approval. And so by side hustle, I'm assuming that you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, and you are filing, you know, your own taxes and things like that. So the short answer is yes, sometimes your side hustle can affect it, because lenders like to see at least 2 years under the books, unless you have like a similar industry that you were working in previously. They can go to the underwriter and kind of write a letter for cause and kind of help tell the story a little bit. But that can be a problem, because you want 2 years of self-documented information when you're self-employed, right? So when you're self-employed, you got to really kind of make sure you keep really good books if you're going to try to use your self-employment for leverage. And a lot of times for business owners like myself and other entrepreneurs that are out there, we write off a lot because we have a lot of expenses. So while we may not have a lot of, on paper, availability to buy houses, you might have more cash in hand, but because you've done your taxes that way, it looks poorly on paper, and lenders might say, sorry, can't help you at the moment. which doesn't mean that we can't fix how you do your filings in the future and how to gather your funds. The other thing is, if you are not filing your taxes because you have a side gig, that could be a problem for you guys. So I wouldn't say that you can't get funding because you have side hustle, or because most of your funding comes from things like Uber or Etsy. Those are phenomenal ways to make extra money as a self-employed, but you want to make sure you keep really good records, because a lot of times those don't impress the lenders, because they're infrequent, right? They're not consistent enough. But if you show consistency, there can be a really good story to be told for that. Yeah, so basically you want to be able to talk to somebody, make sure that we can kind of package the information before you apply, and talk to the right lenders and a lender team. We work with really good lenders that are really creative in helping my buyers who have like self-funding concerns, or they're like small business, or they're entrepreneurs. So guys, we fit in a different category, but we can still buy houses, right? There's DCSR, there's other ways to get creative, different things like that. So I hope that answered your question, and I would never turn away side hustle money. Just sometimes as your main source, it can look a little dicey for a lender, but you got to be able to tell the story and package it correctly. So make sure you're on the right path. I know people. We have lots of conversations about this, and it can get done. So if you're just interested in trying to get an idea where you are, where it sits, do not hesitate to reach out, drop me a DM. We can do a private buyer consult, and we can pull in one of my lenders to talk about what kind of options that you have. Should that be something that you want to pursue. But I love the question. That was great, because then you're thinking in your head, if I have a side hustle, can I still get a house? And we want to make sure we package it correctly so you can. All right. I hope that answers your question. I love it. These guys are great, because I feel like you guys are hearing part of the story and then thinking out of the box, because now you're asking questions that are like, okay, well, this isn't normal, but is it possible for me to do these things? And, you know, real estate's fun like that, because if you get creative, and if you get educated, and you get information, you're not afraid to ask questions, like home ownership can be in the cards for you. And even if it's investing, can be in the cards for you too. So that leads me right into my segue. Oh, I love this stuff, guys. That's a good question. My investor question, and this one was playing with it a little bit. So they had me kind of thinking on the box. So anybody on here in the chat who wants to drop some information, feel free to drop some information in here too, because I feel like there's so many ways to answer this. And I'm going to give you a couple tidbits, but I can literally talk all day what to do if you gave me this money. So the question that I got was, Samara, what would you do with $50,000 if you wanted to start investing today? And I'm like, oh man, I'd love $50,000 to start investing today. Some people might say it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're really creative and design a strategy for yourself, you can have a couple opportunities and options for you. So don't rule yourself out. Money is plentiful in terms of creative financing when it comes to investors. So I like the 50,000. That's the number you gave me to work with. For me, I would consider possibly buying a small multifamily, maybe using a FHA loan, 3.5% down. So I'm leveraging that within the price point. That could be a play where you're kind of playing with, the ability to get a mortgage and using the 50,000 for down payment, and you're only putting down 3.5%. So you can play with that money as long as your math makes sense, right? So that's an option for you. And that puts you in a multifamily situation where you can live in one and maybe rent out the other one, or just rent out both, right? Depending on what kind of loan you pull, right? Make sure you follow all the criteria. There's conventionals that fit at 3.5% too nowadays. And if you're a VA guy, then so get excited about that. Another thing you could do with 50 grand is you can partner with a fix and flip. I have a lot of partners that we partner with now, so have a small equity stakes. We do multiple projects, so sometimes you can partner with someone else who has cash flow or good credit or some sweat equity opportunities where they can leverage like their ability to do the work into different structures. These are kind of my favorite questions, guys, because I can get really creative with this stuff. I love investing. You guys already know that I'm an investor now. We have a couple of rehab projects ourselves that we've worked on, and we've partnered with others who had less equity position. As well as some that might have had a higher equity position. So 50 grand is a good chunk of change to work with, and you got to make your numbers make sense and see how many partners you can go in with. Find a flip project that is productive and conducive to being able to transition that to an exit strategy, right? Being able to sell it or buy and hold, or sell it and pull all your money out with a nice little return. All right. Those are only two. We can talk about so many more. Another one is I would fund a creative deal, right? So I'm a big fan of seller financing options. And yes, I'm in real estate, been in it for years, and just people don't even know about this, or they're afraid to ask the question about it. But seller finance options are fantastic opportunities for you to get into a property. Let's see, we can talk about that for a really long time because there's a little semantic, but high level seller financing is when the owner has enough equity where he can be the bank himself, right? So you don't have to go to a traditional lending route. You don't have to go to a bank or a lender. You can actually work with the owner directly to be able to structure something that is a nice down payment. So you have 50 grand that I'm playing with here, right? Depending on my numbers, and something that can structure to be able to pay them long term. And if you're paying them the interest, they may be making more than what they're originally asking for because you're paying them the interest plus the principal, and they're the bank for you. So it's a really fun structure, something else that, people who are tried and true with it. I've done a few of them. I love them. Make sure you pay your stuff, guys, because they can still foreclose on it as long as they file their liens and things like that. So it's a good opportunity for you if you're playing with that bit of money. Another option for you guys, I can be here all day, but this will be the last one I give you, I promise. I know you guys are like, man, Samara can talk real estate all day, and it's only been, oh, look at that. I got 1 minute left. We do 15-minute segments of Q&As, but this is amazing. Another option, which I've been doing a little bit more of, which is fun. My partner and husband, we do mobile homes. So you can buy land, you can buy a mobile home, you can buy something that has a smaller price point, and you can fix those up. So there's a lot of play in there for that. So you guys can look into things like that. If you want to get into the nitty gritty about any of these things, because I think all of these I've pretty much worked on. Also done some things with partnering on short-term rentals, entering that Airbnb market space. It's a lot of opportunities. 50 grand is a nice chunk of change to play with. So if you have some thoughts on strategy, or if you want some thoughts on strategy, do not hesitate to. All right, I hope you guys still see me. I know, little Wi-Fi. All right, so we're good. So hopefully you guys were able to see that, because ultimately, investing is a lot of fun. And if you come across money, you should really be thinking about strategy in your head about what makes sense math-wise. I encourage you guys to DM me any other investment strategies you guys have that you want to recommend to this person who asked this question, because this was a phenomenal question. And again, don't hesitate to reach out, because I probably have a ton more options for you guys. But in our segments, I just want to give you some quick hits of some things to consider and ponder, and we can give you some more information around that. Let's see, we had, man, I'm already, not enough time, but I'll leave you with this. All right, so I did want to think about one of the things we were talking about just for fun. I did a would you rather segment on one of my posts, and it was overwhelmingly interesting how many people will be willing to live in a haunted house if it was free. So I did love that part of it. So I will be doing a couple more would you rathers. But what I want you to think about before you leave, the last one they asked was, would you rather buy a haunted mansion with instant equity, so you have to live in it, instant equity, your way to go, or a cozy condo with a sky high HOA, but it has free wine testing every day? I don't know. Tough call. They both sound pretty brutal. I'm interested to see what kind of hits and what kind of stuff we get. So I'll make sure I post that to see what kind of answers, because I love the feedback. I love that you guys are engaging. I see you guys sharing this as well. I do put these back up so you guys can watch them later, share them. I also have them on YouTube in the channel. If you guys go to it, we have tons of content on there for you. Also got asked to do a buyer's seminar segment for people who are asking tons of questions and get you guys locked in for a buyer's consult. So if you have any questions regarding real estate, all things real estate, because that's what I do, and just want to talk about strategy or options or things that you can do, DM me real. Right? Because real estate is real and Samara keeps it real estate. Pull the band-aid right off, answer any questions that you have. And don't be afraid to reach out, because I'd love to help you guys navigate that. The fun world of all things real estate. You guys already know that on Mondays at 7, I will be back here again to answer more questions. We've already ran through about 20 minutes. I try a lot for 15 to 20 minutes to be able to answer as many questions as I can, in as much detail as I can, but there's always more. So feel free to ask follow-up questions. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm big on responding, so make sure you guys reach out. Tuesdays, we do Truth Bomb Tuesdays. So if you guys check those out, those are tons of fun. 60 seconds or less, I just debunk a myth, whether it's a true statement or a ridiculously false statement. And it needs to be debunked. Some things need to be put to bed like immediately. But either way you cut it, it's tons of fun too. Check us out on Tuesdays. Those are also on YouTube and also on my pages for social media, so you guys can get the content there. Really big on spreading the information. We think education is key. Real estate industry is super scary, very confusing, and I just want you to make sure that you have a place that you can go to and ask questions and not feel alone and not feel silly for asking questions. So if you have a real estate professional in your world, make sure you ask them questions you're not afraid to. And if you don't, you have a girl who is very willing to answer your real estate questions and help you out with all things real estate. Also, during the week, we try to drop nuggets about what's going on in the community. I do a lot of community service. You guys already know that I'm part of the boards for the Chamber and for YMCA and the Rotary. And we are constantly advocating for our community in general. So lock in. If you have some extra hands that you want to contribute and help, we could always use them. Always something going on. And on Fridays, we get to have tons of fun with our local Love Fridays. So if you guys are looking for some wholesome, fun content, we usually have some community leaders that come on here and we just get to hear their story a little bit, hear a little bit more about their business, and just have fun with it. Again, I just do little interviews, segments, just to kind of talk about the things that they're doing, because people who are out there doing things for their community, you got to know about them. I want people to know about them. I want to spread the word. I love hearing people's backstories. Sometimes you never hear that part, right? You have a business, and this business is not for the weak. Small business owners and entrepreneurship is definitely not for the weak. So whenever you can applaud someone or identify them, it's always a win. So if you guys know of anybody who is in the area, Monmouth Ocean or local to Jersey, where we are, I would love the opportunity to speak with them further. Drop me a name, a line. I'd love to get out there. But thank you guys for checking in to another episode of Samara Keeps It Real Estate. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for sharing your energy with me and for being with me again on another Monday night at 7. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.